So today is Remembrance Day, the 11th of November, and I handed in my notice, so wear your poppy with pride, okay, I handed in my notice on Remembrance Day 2010, and it's because I had my eyes open to the power of property investing, because I've been investing in property for nearly 20 years at that point. It was only when I went to events, property investment training events, that I realised that I actually knew very little about property. So I invested in my education, and I decided I was going to become a full-time property investor and leave the army without the need to get a job. So at the time I was a Regimental Sergeant Major, Commando trained. That's my Commando, 2-9 Commando poppy. And instead of applying for a commission to become a captain, I decided I was going to go into work and hand in my notice and leave. So October 2010 is when I made that decision, but I procrastinated until Remembrance Day 2010. And so 11th of November 2010, I was about to go to church to remember the fallen. A lot of friends of mine died in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I literally carried coffins, and I stopped procrastinating on that day. And Rob Moore's got a phrase, I understand it, and you could probably relate, is that unless you risk anything, you risk everything. So yeah, it was a risk handing in my notice, but I had another Afghanistan tour looming, and I obviously was fully aware of the risks. And so I you know, proud of my military career, but I wanted to spend my time with the people I love the rest of my life and people who love me. So I handed in my notice, but ultimately I set a chain reaction in place there, where I would leave the army a year later, because you have to serve 1 year from handing in your notice. But I invested in my training. I invested in being mentored, and I was sharing a story at multiple streams of property income with the delegates who were at that training event at Progressive yesterday. Because it was Remembrance Sunday yesterday, wasn't it? But so yesterday, and I did the 2-minute silence at 11 o'clock. Trust me on that, read out Binion's lines. But what I shared is that when I left the army, I relocated to Swansea because I was building up my buy-to-let portfolio, because you've got loads of energy, you go to your training events and you've got loads of energy and enthusiasm. And that takes you a certain distance, that energy and enthusiasm. But when I relocated to Swansea, and I replaced the job income with property, but I started to slow down. And I remember Rob Moore, my mentor, addressing this, and he said, well, I know what the problem is, Kev. You know, you're playing a lot of golf now, and you're chilled and you're relaxed, and you're not growing the portfolio. So whilst I was okay, maybe I wasn't, I wouldn't have been able to cope with a massive drama financially. So I still needed to grow the portfolio at the time to be able to take care of me and the family. And he said, I know what the problem is, Kev, is because you're mixing with normal people all the time now. And I make a joke at my property training events, and many of you will have heard me call you, if you've been to my property events, weirdos, because you're not normal, right? Property people are not normal. Property people, you know, you'll travel to Peterborough, named the worst place to live 3 years on the trot by the people who live in Peterborough, and listen to people in stripy shirts talking about property investing, and normal people wouldn't do that. Normal people have got their heads buried in their sand, hoping that they've got job security and pension security, and I know that there's no such thing. And when people agree with that, I say, well, turn to the person next to you and say, you're weird. But Rob Moore pointed out to me that I'm now only mixing with normal people, because I stopped going to events. And when I was being mentored at the time, I'd just turn up, have my one-to-one mentoring, and then go home again. So I wasn't networking with like-minded people. So therefore, all I'm doing is mixing with tenants, builders, friends, family, who are all normal. And the phrase, your network is your net worth, is so true, because ultimately, if you're not surrounding yourself with people who are all pushing on and achieving things and holding each other accountable and encouraging each other and talking about doing deals that normal people wouldn't even contemplate, then you just settle for normality if you're not mixing with other weirdos. So that was a light bulb moment for me, and Rob told me I literally started a property networking meeting in Swansea, so I'd bring the fellow weirdos from that town into one place, and then I made sure that I was regularly going to events back at Progressive Property as often as I could. So that got me back on track, and it got my level of enthusiasm above the level necessary to actually go and do shit and take action. And so that's a really important thing, guys. So remember that if you're just mixing with normal people, and the 5 people you spend the most time with, your net worth is going to be the average of that, right? That's the fact. So you got to upgrade your network. I don't mean sack your friends and family, so keep them there, but start spending more time with like-minded people. So I just thought I'd share that, because it's an important day for me, the 11th of November. That's when I decided to take control of my future and take control of my destiny, because do you know what, team? This isn't a dress rehearsal, is it? So what do you think? Okay, do you want to take control of your own financial future? Are you doing what's necessary in order to do that? Let me know what you think. Remember, team, wear your poppy with pride on Remembrance, because they gave their everything for our tomorrows, right? And they shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. And at the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.